I will be showing you how to go from this to this. I will be comparing and benchmarking each major setting for graphics and performance differences so you can better optimize the game for your system. And I will be giving you my optimized settings as well. Fun fact, this is currently the most wishlisted game on Steam. It's also made by just one person. It's currently in early access, so things are subject to change. I would like to point out that, as is the nature of this game, the frame rate really dips when you start to zoom in and get up close and personal. Also, the bigger your city, the higher the population, so more things are going on and the more demanding it becomes. This is how you should measure the game's performance, as it's the worst case scenario. Let's start with the anti-aliasing options, which also include upscaling. Using FXAA is pointless. TAA does a decent job, but it's a bit blurry. FSR looks a bit sharper, but there is noticeable flickering, while DLSS has the best image quality, and all options suffer from slight ghosting that can be seen with distant moving objects. Weirdly, FSR doesn't have the performance boost we're used to seeing, so something is going on there. The clear choice here is DLSS. The shader quality setting has a moderate impact to image quality. Anything above low looks acceptable, but the ultra setting has some nice additions that I think are worth the FPS hit. Also, the medium setting has less FPS than high, which I found to be weird. The only option that makes sense here is ultra. Now for the shadow quality. Low looks terrible. Medium starts looking better, but it still doesn't fully render shadows. High finally starts looking acceptable, and Ultra has a minimal improvement when zoomed out. However, up close, it seems that Ultra uses higher resolution shadows, which explains its FPS hit. For the best balance, use high. Turning post-processing from off to medium has a big impact to the visuals, while high and ultra look basically identical to medium. Just set this to medium for a slightly higher frame rate for free. The bounce light approximation setting is currently broken. The game keeps resetting the setting after I set it to any of the available options. Let's skip it for now. The volumetric clouds in this game have a very subtle impact to the image quality because they are harder to notice than in other games. They also don't control the fog at all. So, given that it has a noticeable performance impact, set it to off, as you're probably not going to notice it when playing. The terrain texture resolution is self-explanatory. I also found that it barely has an impact to the VRAM usage, but don't worry, as in my testing, the game only used 7GB of VRAM at 1440p max settings. So if you have 8 gigs of VRAM, you're safe. The view distance is much more important here than in other games, for obvious reasons. Only at high does the game start to look acceptable, but in motion, the pop-in is still easily noticeable. It's only when we move to the ultra setting where it becomes satisfying. Thankfully, the performance impact of using ultra is not that big. As for grass density, low basically has no grass at all. Medium looks too sparse in my opinion. High looks fair, and ultra just looks a bit denser. Looking at the performance, using high seems to be the best balance here. Now for grass distance. Low and medium look absolutely terrible. High is an improvement, but still not enough, and ultra looks acceptable. As for the pop-in during movement, even at high, it still looks bad. However, using ultra, the pop-in is much less aggressive, and even though it has a bigger performance impact, I'd recommend using ultra. The foliage quality setting seems to control the level of detail distance of trees and some shrubbery. It doesn't affect grass at all. Using low and medium is just insanity. High starts to look acceptable, and ultra is a small improvement. Looking at the performance, high is the best balance, but if you have spare performance, use ultra. From what I have played so far, this is a very well optimized game, even though it's a little heavy on the GPU side and it's too light on the CPU side, as can be seen from the CPU usage, but it runs great, and that's what matters. Going from the max settings to the optimized settings at native 1440p, the performance uplift is around 21%. It's okay, but I expected a bit more. And going to the optimized settings with DLSS quality is a game changer. The RTX 3060 can now play over 60 FPS comfortably and averaging in the mid-70s. Honestly, using DLSS is a must in this game as it has the best image quality and superior performance. Say what you will about NVIDIA GPUs, but they have features that are game-changing and are way ahead of the competition. DLSS is the best software that came out of NVIDIA in the past 10 years. I use DLSS in 99% of the games that support it. What about you?